Hello, happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Wellness Wednesdays webinar series. Again, my name is Leah, and I'm a dietitian with Kelly's Choice. And this week, I'm super excited about our topic. We're talking about one of my all-time favorite things. We're going to be talking about our digestive health. So let's get right into it. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And we're just going to go over today some tips to maintain and make sure that our digestive health is the best that it can be. And specifically, we're going to be talking about our microbiome. And so what do I mean by that? I mean, when I say microbiome, and when you hear that word, really what people are talking about, what I'm talking about is this collection, this community within our bodies of microbiota or bacteria. And we have learned a lot from even the last 10 years, and we're still learning more. And so I'm really excited because this is a very new, comparatively speaking, topic within the health and nutrition world. And I just find it fascinating, and I hope you do too. And I hope you get some useful information out of all of this. So once again, if you're new to our webinars, or if you just need a reminder, we are Kelly's Choice. And in addition to providing these webinars, we are also working with individuals to empower individuals to really have the confidence to invest in yourself and in your overall wellness to live your best lives. So we also work with people one-on-one, and I definitely encourage you to inquire. You can always go to healthy.com. Employees who have health insurance would get this covered. And again, that's healthie.com. So let's get into our digestive system. So here are some fast facts for you to start us off. So our gut bacteria, our microbiome, it plays such a big role in our immune system and keeping us healthy. And it does this by creating white blood cells. And actually 70% of our immune cells are located within our gut wall. And 90% of our serotonin, our feel-good hormone, our happiness transmitter, is produced in our gut, not the brain. And actually the gut and the brain work very intricately together to maintain our health. It has this kind of bidirectional communication pattern where our gut is going to release these metabolites, these breakdowns from the foods that we're eating, and such as tryptophan, which is what is needed to make serotonin, and it's going to send it to the blood and send signals to our brain. And in the other way, the brain is going to influence our gut and our gut's ability to create these signals and these metabolites by altering overall gut movement, motility, and secretion of these chemicals. So they work really hand in hand together, and each is just as important as the other when thinking about our overall health and maintaining it as well. So there's over 100 trillion, that's with a T, trillion bacterial cells in our 25 plus foot long digestive tract. So our intestines are lining our walls. It's like 4,000 square feet. I can't even comprehend what that is. It's a big part of our body and our system. It's huge. And our bacterial cells actually outnumber our human cells 10 to 1. There's actually more than 150 times the amount of gut bacteria than the human genome. I mean, these numbers are crazy. And so when we kind of think about it from this perspective, we can really understand why our gut and our gut bacteria can play such an important role when we're talking about our overall health And so today we're going to kind of figure out and talk about how food affects this and what role it plays. So why digestion? So according to a recent survey, nearly 3/4 of Americans, 74%, are living with digestive symptoms. So that's going to include diarrhea, gas, bloating, constipation, abdominal pain. 74% are living with these symptoms on a regular basis. And that's crazy to me. Beneficial gut bacteria, in addition to working with the brain and what we just talked about, it's also going to help us to manufacture certain vitamins like the B vitamins, vitamin K. That's all going to happen in our large intestines, which is the last part of our digestive system. It's going to help to enhance the absorption of minerals and fight off pathogens. They play a role in digesting food and metabolizing drugs and just metabolizing nutrients in general. And all of this is going to really affect our overall functioning of our body's metabolism, which is the breakdown of food, the movement of food through our body. So it is super, super important for our gut bacteria to be in a healthy balance and to have this symbiotic relationship. So where we are benefiting from our gut bacteria and the benefits that they provide, but we're also creating an environment internally in our bodies where our gut bacteria are benefiting from what we're giving our body. So it's a symbiotic relationship where we're each giving and taking from the other. And let's get a little bit more into digestive health. When it comes to overall wellness, maintaining our digestive health is just as important as maintaining our heart health or brain health. It is, if we don't have proper digestive health, it can lead to a host of issues and conditions and chronic diseases. So you can think of our gut, which does include the stomach. It includes our small intestines, our large intestines. You can think of our gut as this tropical rainforest, as this very diverse environment within our body. And we have so many different kinds of bacteria. And that diversity is what's going to be really important. So not just like the amount of healthy bacteria that we have, but really the diversity in it. And that diversity and the amount and the varied type of bacteria that we have within our digestive system is directly influenced by what we eat and what we drink and the overall environments that we're exposing ourselves to. So let's get into how digestion works. So digestion is the breakdown of food. We eat it, it comes out the other end. What happens in between? Well, our body needs to break that food down in order to get all of the nutrients. So, and that begins right when you put that piece of food in your mouth and you start chewing. That immediate act of chewing is what starts this digestive process. So it's going to start to break down the food. This is why chewing, taking the time to thoroughly chew your food and make sure that it's properly broken down before you swallow, that's going to help our digestive tract to further break down that food. And then after we swallow, it's going to continue. Our body, our stomach is going to produce acid. We're going to churn that food. We're going to break it apart. It's going to move through our intestines, and all along the way, we're going to take the nutrients that we need, the proteins, the vitamins, the minerals, all the way down into our large intestines. And that's, for instance, where we're going to get those B vitamins, vitamin K. and where our gut bacteria is going to play a role for that. So when we don't have sufficient amount of good gut bacteria, or when we have too much of the bad bacteria, this is when we're going to get these conditions that can be detrimental just to our overall well-being. So things like celiac, which is an autoimmune disease where you have a gluten allergy, and also this can lead to leaky gut. So leaky gut is again going to that very long intestines. It's that intestines has an intestinal lining, like this mucosal lining, and that's going to act as a barrier from having toxins and other things going out of our intestines and into our bloodstream and other parts of the body, but also it's going to prevent things from coming into our intestines and our digestive tract. And when there's this imbalance, that the lining is going to be compromised, and it might have like these tears or these holes, and that's going to allow for the toxins or incompletely digested foods to escape the digestive tract. That's going to initiate our immune response, which, if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, we kind of talked about that. That is essentially inducing this inflammatory response. And when that's happening repeatedly over and over, and when it's exacerbated by this, by certain foods, and when we're not getting in enough of the foods that we need to maintain the structural barrier, all of these things is going to lead to chronic inflammation and can lead to other conditions, such as IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, or Crohn's disease. That's a type of inflammatory bowel disease. And this is when you're going to see these symptoms like cramping or bloating or diarrhea or constipation. And so this is how our gut bacteria is related to all of these other things, all of these other autoimmune conditions. So we like to think of this as, or use the goldfish analogy for this. Maybe many of you, or maybe your child, or you have a family member who has had a goldfish as a pet growing up, or maybe you currently do. So if you have, then you know that goldfish, they need certain things to stay alive. In addition to their food, they need the water, they need a low stress environment. They can't really thrive in a chemically induced environment. And it's the same thing for us. We need our food, we need water, we need a stress-free environment and a chemical toxic-free environment in order to maintain a healthy microbiome or a healthy digestive system. So let's get into this just a little bit more. So what is the fish food, or what is the food that we need to support our healthy gut? If you have attended any really of our previous webinars, then this might sound familiar to you, but here it is again. Fiber. Fiber is so important for yet another reason. Fiber is going to be the food that really feeds our gut bacteria. And again, we talked about this a little bit last week, but we have different types of fiber. We have soluble fiber. That's going to be the fiber that really dissolves in water and can loosen the stool. And this is going to be digested by our gut bacteria. And then you have insoluble fiber, which is does not dissolve in water. So this is going to help remove the toxins throughout our gut, throughout our digestive tract, and remove those harmful pathogens to maintain that healthy gut balance. And then you have another type of fiber, which is called resistance starch. So this is a type of fiber that you can really find in the cells of plant wall cells. So if you have any type of vegetable or fruit, and it passes through the small intestines, but again, it's not digested, but it acts as a food source for our good gut bacteria. So all of these things are going to be really important, specifically when we're talking about the digestive tract and maintaining a healthy gut. And as a review, so these are some examples of some high fiber foods. All whole grains are going to have fiber in them. Chia and flax seeds, here are those superfoods that we talked a little bit about a couple of weeks ago. Avocados, beans, cauliflower, asparagus, nuts, really any fruit or vegetable with the skin on it are going to have that fiber. Any whole grains, so these are some examples, and we did talk about some of these a couple of weeks ago with the superfoods. Beans, again, we talked about black beans and pinto beans. So thinking about how you can get some of these into your everyday dietary routine is going to be really beneficial, whether it be a sandwich with whole wheat bread, or if it's whole wheat pasta with some cauliflower, broccoli, or if it's a chia seed in your smoothie, or if it's even nuts in a bag that you bring for snack. So the fiber can be found in such a variety of foods that it's really easy to hit that mark of 25, 30, 35 grams that you need each day. But it is just something that we have to think consciously about and think about how we can get it into each of our meals. And so maybe that might take some planning at the beginning of the week or as you get started. But as you get your routine done and as you become more familiar with your foods, it will become easier to make sure that you're getting all of these things and the appropriate amount of fiber in your food each day. And then along with fiber, or hand in hand with fiber, is hydration. Making sure that we're drinking adequate enough of amounts of water is going to be important for gut health, and specifically to make sure that we are optimizing the fiber in our diet. So generally speaking, an overall recommendation is taking your total weight and dividing that by 2. So if you weigh 140 pounds and you divide that by 2, that's 70. So you can say that your daily water needs would be 70 ounces per day. Now, if you're working out or if you have other needs, then maybe this might be more or less, but this is a general quick, easy way to figure out how much you need each day. And why is this important? So water is important because it's going to help us to dissolve the fats, and again, that soluble fiber, and it's going to allow all of these things to move through our system more easily. And it's going to feed and optimize the functioning of our healthy gut bacteria. In addition to just water, so thinking outside the box and thinking of different ways that we can maintain hydration, you can think about fermented drinks such as kvass, which is it's a cereal-based, I think barley-based fermented drink that's very popular in like Russia and Ukraine. And then you have kombucha, which is another more popular, maybe you might have heard of this one. This is another fermented drink. And that the fermentation within these drinks are going to produce these natural sugars that our healthy bacteria can feed off of. If you're not a water person, if it's hard for you to drink water, just remember that fruits and vegetables do have high amounts of water. So this can contribute to your hydration and your overall water intake. And but you can also get creative. You can drink creative. You can try making an herbal tea to get some natural flavors without the added sugars. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll make a big pitcher of a tea, and then I'll put it in the fridge and have iced tea, and I'll have that for the day. You can also add lemon or cucumber, or if you have some leftover fruit that you don't think you're going to go through, you can also make like a fruit. You can add blueberries or something, or even make like blueberry or strawberry ice cubes and then put it in your water, and then that can add some flavor as well. It's just really important to try to think of how you can hit that, 70 ounces or your daily hydration requirements. So maybe it's having a water bottle with you. Maybe it's setting a timer on your phone to remind you to have a glass of water throughout the day or certain different points of the day. So thinking about how you can make sure you have this hydration, because what happens is a lot of people will focus on the actual food and trying to make sure that they're getting enough of the nutrients from food, but people often forget about the water, and water and hydration is super, super important, not just for gut health, but also for our overall health as well. And then in addition to food and water, it's really important to identify ways where we can manage our stress. So when going back to this gut-brain connection, when we have an imbalanced, unhealthy gut, that's going to alter the signaling of the signaling to the brain that and ultimately the brain function. And likewise, if we have, if we're super stressed, that's going to alter our brain function and its ability to properly signal to the gut. And so it's going to create this dysbiosis, this imbalance. And when we have too much stress or anxiety, this is directly going to affect our digestive system. So if you're familiar with IBS, which is the irritable bowel syndrome, it's been shown that stress and anxiety is a major contributing factor to this. And so trying to find and identify ways where we can reduce our stress through activities that you enjoy. You want to, it should be a stress reducing activity. Maybe it's a walk in the park now that it's getting to be nicer outside. Maybe it is yoga. It could even be, it's not, I think it's important to understand that we're not talking about exercise here, but any kind of activity like meditation, it could be journaling, it could be, just finding a self-care routine when you're getting ready in the morning, and taking 5 minutes to, massage your temples or your hands or whatever it is. It can be a range of things, and what that is for you may be different from the person next to you, and that's fine. There is no best way in terms of, the best one is going to be the best one for you. And there's a variety of things that you can do. It's just a matter of finding what is most realistic, relevant, and effective for you. And then we also want to, going back to that fish food analogy, we want to reduce our chemicals. And this is going to be the toxins that we have in our environment, but also in our food. Ultra processed foods, those foods that are made and sold in boxes, that makes up about 70% of the American diet. And those foods often are in boxes and able to be sold and left on the shelf for an extended amount of time because of the preservatives or the added chemicals that are added into these foods. And then in addition to that, you have the kind of natural preservatives like sugar, salt, fat, and then you have the taking out of all of these nutrients that we need. So, you know, focusing on these whole foods that are going to have all of these nutrients, and also thinking about other types of foods as well. So artificial sweeteners, they can actually be very detrimental to your gut health. They have been linked in some studies to weight gain, and they have also been shown to spike the insulin levels, but they're not metabolized like regular sugar. So they're not, when I say metabolized, they're not broken down by the body like regular sugar. And because of this, it can exacerbate or lead to any symptoms related to an imbalance of gut bacteria. So in one study, actually, they found that the rates of IBS went up 12-fold in China when they legalized artificial sweeteners. Now, if you are somebody who, you know, that you maybe don't have a lot of whole foods in your diet, maybe you are buying a lot of you know, processed foods, that's fine. It's not that, you know, these imbalances and that these symptoms are going to be there forever. It's not too late. Our gut bacteria are they're very strong, they're very adaptable, and they can return to optimal balanced levels within a relatively short period. It can even as quickly as 2 weeks when reducing or eliminating intake of these processed foods and the artificial sweeteners and other toxins as well. So there's always room to change, and it's never too late with when we're talking about our gut health and our gut balance. And then to go a little bit more into what I was just talking about with these foods that are high in fat and high sugar, these foods that are going to have the high sugar, high fat, they're going to slow down our digestive process, the breakdown of food. And this is going to make us more prone to constipation. So when we're having these healthy fats like olive oils, nuts, seeds, salmon, avocado, that's going to limit this effect and also provide these added nutrients like the omega-3s, the vitamin D, all these things that we've talked about before. And then again, with these added sugars or excessive sugar intake, it's going to act as a food source for the harmful bacteria. And that's going to allow this harmful bacteria to grow while reducing the impact of our good bacteria. And so you're going to have that imbalance. And like we mentioned before, this diversity in bacteria, this abundance in bacteria is going to really be the key component to all of this. So how do we counteract that? We eat these complex carbohydrates, these whole grains that have the fiber, and same thing with fruits and vegetables. That's going to give us the healthy sugars from the carbohydrates, the fiber, all of these things that are really going to feed the good bacteria in our gut. And then a final word on prebiotics and probiotics. So we did touch upon this a little bit a few weeks ago, and I'm sure maybe you've heard at least one of these terms. So prebiotics are going to be the food that feeds our healthy bacteria. And these are foods that have been pre-digested by the fermentation process, making them easier to absorb. And then you have probiotics, which are going to be the good bacteria. So prebiotics feed the probiotics. So these are going to be the specialized plant fiber. It nourishes the good bacteria already in our large intestines, which is the colon. And this is what you're going to, this is yet another reason why we need fiber in our diet, why it's so important. In case we haven't hit it home enough already, I think the takeaway is, fiber has so many health benefits. And so this is yet another reason. So examples of these foods, so the probiotics, you're going to have kefir, sauerkraut, yogurt, again, kombucha, kvass, kimchi, which we talked a little bit about. We also fermented pickles or any kind of fermented vegetables, miso, tempeh. And then you have prebiotics, which are going to be a lot of these fruits and vegetables. So asparagus, bananas, onions, garlic, cabbage, beans and legumes are good sources. Psyllium husk as well, if you're taking that as a fiber supplement. Any kind of root vegetable, really. Apples as well. So it's really, so I know there's a lot of supplements out there for both prebiotics and probiotics, but I don't think people always really realize how much, how many food sources there are so we can get these naturally. So here are just some more options on how to incorporate probiotics into your regular diet. So you can throw tempeh into your stir fry in place of a meat, especially like a red meat. You can add flavorings, make miso soup. You can add sauerkraut to your salad, your soup. You could eggs, your sandwich. Same thing with kimchi, and they usually come in big jars. They last forever. And you can buy a bottle of kombucha at your local grocery store. You can also make it. It's super easy to make and very cost effective as well. So there's lots of different ways to get these into your everyday diet. Going back to the supplements, it is important to remember that like all supplements, probiotics are not regulated by the FDA. There are no laws that regulate the quality of different supplements. And it's always a good idea to speak with your doctor before taking a probiotic, just to get their input, because like all supplements, there may be adverse effects, and they're going to be the best ones just to confirm whether or not they think this is necessary. Eating mindfully is going to be very helpful for when we're thinking about our digestive health. When we are aware of the effects of the food that we're eating, when we can feel it, when we can feel when we're full, when we're hungry, this is going to allow us to be more in tune with our overall health and the effects of foods on our system. And developing a routine is going to be super, super important as well. And eating on a schedule is going to help you regulate your digestive system. You want to make sure that you're having appropriate time between meals and snacks. This can always be a little bit harder when you're in school. But again, we do work with individuals, and this is something that we definitely help a lot of people with, is just trying to help them establish a routine that works for them. So again, if this is something that you find you want help with, this is something we can definitely work with individuals about. And then just be mindful and skipping the bad habits where possible. So avoid excessive amount of alcohol, coffee, cigarettes, anything that's going to bring toxins into your body. I think it's important to emphasize excessive. If there are some people who can't live without coffee, maybe you need that cup of coffee every day, fine, but don't have 4 cups of coffee. So thinking about how you can moderate these things that are going to contribute to the imbalances within your gut system. And then also just exercising regularly. So when we're moving, it's going to be good for our mental health, but it's going to help our food. It's going to help the movement of our food through our body. And that's going to help to reduce constipation and minimize other effects such as bloating and abdominal cramping. And in addition to, of course, helping us to maintain a healthy weight, and our overall health as well. So think about when we're thinking about establishing these routines, how can we get this exercise? It could be a walk, it could be going to the gym, it could be doing a YouTube video in the morning, it could be, you know, taking little breaks throughout the day to do jumping jacks. Just like with like the stress recommendations, there's so many ways that you can incorporate regular exercise into your routine. It's just a matter of knowing which is going to work for you and what your preferences are. What do you enjoy doing? Because you have to enjoy it in order to really do it on a regular basis. So to sum up today, our gut is an entire universe, and it is directly impactful on our overall health. So as with pretty much everything we've talked about, fiber is going to be instrumental to making sure and maintaining that healthy gut. Avoid artificial sweeteners, avoid excessive sugar intake, food intake, and try to incorporate some fermented foods into your diet. You can start with one. Start maybe with kimchi or sauerkraut, see what you can do with it. And then when you feel comfortable with that, when it's a part of your routine, then you can try something else. And then think about and try to initiate some good habits like exercise or meditation or journaling or daily walks. This is going to be good for your mental health, for reducing that overall stress, but it's also going to be good for your physical health and the digestive system. And our take-home challenge for this week, work on getting enough water and fiber throughout your day. If you regularly drink sodas or artificially sweetened drinks, even flavored water is going to be a huge source of that added sugar. Try cutting them out. Try doing adding natural flavorings to your water, like the lemon or lime or cucumber or blueberries. Try a fermented drink to replace that, like kefir, kombucha. Or try a different kind of probiotic that stuck out to you when we were reviewing the foods. So again, like with all of our challenges, think about what is most realistic, what is most accessible to you, and start from there. Start small. Don't try all of these all at once. The idea is to implement these small changes one at a time, and over the course of a period, then we'll be able to have these overall healthy routines. So that is it for this week. And I do appreciate you being here. I hope you got some useful information out of it. Again, my name is Leah, and I'm part of Kelly's Choice. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday and a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.